What has been your most challenging role? Please welcome the gorgeous Luke Evans.
Star of the Hobbit trilogy, Dracula Untold, and Beauty and the Beast.
Let's talk about your acting career.
I took a flight to LA. So in the space of like 4 days, I landed 3 movies. It's not common to see my story in my industry.
You grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
There are a lot of damaged human beings because of this. When I was 13, I got baptized hoping that would really cleanse me, fix me. The only other option was I was going to die at Armageddon. I didn't want to die. There were moments I just wanted to give it all up. Never ever sit back and wait for somebody else to do it. If you have the power to do it yourself, then get on and do it.
Hi, I'm Abby Clancy and welcome to Exhibit A. Today we're rolling out the red carpet for a true star of stage and screen. A man who's conquered Hollywood, dazzled the West End and lent his iconic voice to Disney classics. And now he's turned author with his brand new book, From a Boy from the Valleys to an International Sensation. Please welcome the gorgeous Luke Evans. Okay, we're going to start with some quickfire. Name a super fun co-star.
Gemma Arterton.
Oh, yeah, I love her. Favourite meal to cook?
Spaghetti bolognese.
Really?
Yeah, so easy.
I'm having that tonight.
I love it.
Yeah.
Fran, my partner, finds it's really boring, but I love it. I love it. Yeah.
A song that brings back memories for you?
The Fugees, Killing Me Softly.
Okay.
The Fugees version, though.
Yeah. Musical icon?
Adele.
The Welsh Valleys or the Hollywood Hills?
Well, probably the Hollywood Hills. Not that I've ever lived there, but it's warmer.
It's warm. Yeah, exactly. No rain there.
That's right.
Sing me your favourite note.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what note I'm singing, but I could sing a couple of notes and they'd all be quite all right.
Go on then.
La, la, la.
I can't believe Luke Evans is sitting here singing to me. Favourite film?
I quite like one that always triggers me is when I was really young, I watched The Elephant Man with John Hurt. It's not a happy film, but it was a film that made me run to the bathroom and cry because I just was so sad about this man's experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've got loads. Shawshank Redemption.
I know. I actually hate that question because there's so many.
There's so many. And
So
they all have different memories and different times of your life. But,
yeah. First person to believe in you?
Ros Phillips. She was a substitute teacher, a singing teacher, a music teacher in comprehensive school. And she held me back one day after class and told me I had a good voice and gave me a phone number to a singing teacher that a year and a half later, I called the number. And that woman set me on the road to going to college. Yeah. And I only met her like for 2 weeks as substitute teacher, Ros Phillips. Never forgot her name.
That's incredible. It's incredible how a teacher can change your life.
Right?
Yeah.
And she wasn't even my regular teacher. She just came in and took over from my normal music teacher for 2 weeks. And she gave me a phone number to a singing teacher. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. The most meaningful feedback or praise you've received as a performer?
I get this, I've had it quite often from directors. They say you have an ability to be extremely strong and powerful and aggressive and angry and all that intensity. And you can switch it immediately to vulnerability and emotion and relatability.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that, but that's what's often acknowledged or observed with my performances is that I can show both sides and I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and look flawed and weak and
Well, you've played so many diverse roles.
Yeah.
You've literally
I
covered...
try and mix a bit of it all into all of them, because you can't just be impenetrable. No one's impenetrable. And I think I want to make my characters, even if they're not real people or, whatever they are, have a human side and it's good to shed a tear every now and again.
I'm on the veg already because I've read the book and I'm slightly traumatized by, but, you know, it's an incredible book, funny, insightful, inspiring, like genuinely, like I mean that, and yeah, it was a pleasure to read it. So thank you.
Thank you.
If you could duet with anyone, who would it be?
Oh, you love.
Yeah,
We've been talking about it for years now. Can we just get on
we're
and
gonna
do
have
it?
to do that. We're
Come
gonna have
on.
to do it later. John, get the mic. Oh, we've got our mics.
We got these. We don't
I
need
need a
anything
proper
else.
mic.
We just need a headset like that.
Reflecting back on your life and career so far, what's a memory that still brings a tear to your eye?
Oh, it was when I talk about how I got my break into film. It was, I wrote a card to a casting director at the Donmar Warehouse when I was in musicals, and there was a play about two Welsh boys, and I had struggled to get seen for any kind of straight play or TV or anything. It was always musical theatre, and I knew I could act.
Yeah.
And I'd just not been given that opportunity. So I thought, well, I'm just going to take it bull by its horns, and what have I got to lose? So I wrote a card saying, "Hi, my name's Luke Evans. I'm a Welsh actor." And I dropped it at the box office. I said, "Please, can you give this to Anne McNulty?" And I didn't hear anything for 7 days, but I thought, well, I didn't lose anything, just £2 on a card from a card shop. And then she called me up, and I went in and met her, and then she let me meet the director. And 3 weeks after that, I got my first ever play at the Donmar Warehouse.
Wow.
And from that play, I had two of the biggest agencies in America come to London to meet me, to sign me. And I thought, wow, if it wasn't for that card, that moment, and that's it changed my whole life. That moment, you know.
I think that's the interesting thing about your book, you know, putting your life experiences to paper, about sometimes it being so painful and traumatic. People, a young inspiring actor would read that and go, "I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that letter. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go and knock on that door."
Of course, you need people to support you and help you, but actually, sometimes you've got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And not to be too proud or too scared or lack the confidence to just take the leap. Because you never know where it'll take you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, this business that I'm in now, doing movies and TV, was not my plan. When I wrote that card, I just wanted to be seen for a proper play. You know, I didn't think I was going to get it.
Yeah.
And look where it led. So never, ever sit back and wait for somebody else to do it. If you have the power to do it yourself, then get on and do it.
What is one life lesson you would pass on to our listeners?
Well, I was told something really brilliant by an older actor very early on in my film career. And he said to me, you won't understand this now, because everything you'll want to do everything that comes your way when it comes to work, you know, and jobs. He said, but you will realize at some point the most powerful thing you have in your toolbox is the word no.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, I don't understand what you're saying right now, but I listened to it and I understand what it means now. Because sometimes when you say no to something, you open many, many other doors that you wouldn't have had if you'd said yes.
Yeah.
And being brave to say no. And I'm not just talking about work. I'm talking about life. You know, sometimes just for self-preservation, self-protection, looking after your mental health, looking after everything. Sometimes saying no gives you more control over things that go on in your life.
That's definitely a word I struggle to say.
And no is not a
And
negative word. And that's the other thing, is like sometimes you think, oh, no means, oh, they're shutting everything down, and it means they don't want to be part of something. And it's actually sometimes the word no is all to help yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You're looking after yourself sometimes.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
looking at the bigger picture. And that's why you say no. So no is not a bad word.
You've had a huge amount of success in your life, and you're still only 45. How do you define success?
How do I define success? Well, firstly, success, I think if you quickly asked what success was, a lot of people would just go money, fame, I don't know, a car, cars, houses. Well, they're all great.
Yeah.
But they are part of success. They're not all what success means. Success is being happy. Success is like waking up in the morning and being excited about going to work. Success is about appreciating anything that good happens to you. Success is acknowledging all of that.
Yeah.
Because you can be really, really brilliant and successful and be very unhappy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true success. True success is having it all and also being happy with the simple things in life as well. And I think success in my world is the fact that I have a wonderful job. I love my job. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I have my loved ones around me. They're all happy. They're all healthy. I am able to look after them.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the most success I ever want, is to be able to look after my loved ones.
Yeah. Amazing. That's it for our quick fire.
Oh, I like that.
I know, it's nice. Of course, I know who you are, but who is Luke Evans?
Well, I would like to be described as a Welsh actor who came from a very working class background in South Wales, from a very small village, an only child. His dad was a bricklayer when he was young, and his mom was a cleaner. He was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. Very early on, he knew he was a little different, and as the years went by, he understood that it was because he was gay. From a very young age, he worked that out, and he managed to get through all of that without having any sort of help from the people that you should have expected help from, because the religion had stopped that. And he's a fighter. He's
You've missed out Drop Dead Gorgeous.
no, you can say that.
Am I flirting with Luke Evans right now?
Yeah, you can flirt as much as you want. I'm good with that. It's Abby Clancy.
I'm sweating and everything.
Yeah, and he's a happy person, and he tries to do as best he can with the life that he's been given, and tries to pay it forward whenever he can. He's a hard worker. He's a lover. He's not a fighter.
Unless it's for a role.
Yeah, and he loves the sunshine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Oh. So have you always been into performing arts?
Well,
Where did that love come from?
so when I was a kid, there was no even though I used to sing a lot and people used to love me singing, and I used to sing all the time in the house, there was never a conversation from my parents or from one family thinking, oh, he should go to drama college or theater college. When you're from a working class environment, you don't have those kind of dreams. They weren't even thought about. And the religion on top of that would have suppressed any kind of ambition, especially into sort of entertainment world. That was definitely not going to happen. So I just used to sing at home. I couldn't sing in school very much until they did a non-religious show at the end of the year, which they only did 3 times in my whole school. I couldn't do the choir because they'd sing religious songs. Couldn't do that. Never sang Christmas stuff. Never did birthdays. So I didn't really have an outlet for my singing. But I used to literally recite full episodes of French and Saunders. I mean, literally, I would learn the Star Pets sketch that they did several times in their shows, which used to literally make me wet myself laughing.
Hilarious.
And so I'd do the whole sketch, and my mum and dad and friends would come around, and they just watch me as a 12-year-old just mimicking Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders.
That's amazing.
I mean, just such a random thing. But so performing always, but thinking that it could ever have been a career,
Never.
that only happened when, as I told you earlier, that phone number that I kept in my wallet when I was 14, 15, when I got to 16 and got a job in River Island.
Yeah,
I saved some money
that in
and
Max.
and then I went and got a singing class, and that's when I started to learn how to sing. And remember, I wasn't good at football. I wasn't good at rugby. I hated competition. I was an only child. I wasn't very athletic. I was skinny.
You look athletic.
I am now, but it's something that I found as an adult, not as a kid. Also, when you're bullied as a kid, it's sort of, you just want to disappear. You don't want to be.
Stand out.
I was always the last one to be picked for a team, and I was never involved in anything. I was never part of the gang or anything, So it just didn't trigger any kind of ambition or wanted to be competitive. Then I started doing singing competitions, and literally the first one I did, they're called Eisteddfods. They're like these Welsh talent competitions, and they're big. They do all different.
I used to do similar, like that Variety Club of Great Brittany kind of.
They got a really famous one up in Llandudno that Pavarotti used to go to every year. It's so crazy. And I did my first one and I came home with 6 medals, 6 trophies. I won every competition, and all of a sudden we're like, what? Like it was a crazy thing. And that's when, it became more of a reality that possibly I could do this. I don't know.
But you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So what was that like as a little boy? Because, you weren't allowed to do these things, these passions that you wanted to do.
No, like, for example, Christmas, or
Well,
the
what is a
build-up.
Jehovah's Witness first?
So
if you can go
Jehovah's
back?
Witness is it's a form of Christianity. They don't believe that God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit are a trinity. They believe they're all separate entities. God is Jehovah. That's his name. That's from their Bible. It's an old name of God. And then Christ was an angel that God sent to earth. And that's who we know as Jesus Christ, who was a human being, lived to 33 or 34, or whatever it was. And then the Holy Spirit is this powerful thing that God uses to do things on earth and all that stuff. They follow the Bible strictly. So there's rules that were given to the Israelites thousands of years ago that the Jehovah's Witnesses still stick to. For example, there's something that says you should abstain from blood.
Yeah,
And
I
from
cannot believe
that, they mean they would die rather than take a blood transfusion. And there has been many, many cases where Jehovah's Witnesses have died in the operating room because they will not take blood. And then there's things like, well, they don't smoke. See, I said we then. I said we, and I'm 45 and I left 29 years ago. That's mad that I said we. Bizarre. They don't smoke. They can drink, but they don't they don't drink too much. They don't celebrate Christmas, birthdays, Easter. So and then they knock people's doors. And that's like a moral obligation. So
I remember that when I was a kid.
Do you remember? I mean, they
People
knocked
knocking on the
everybody's
door.
doors, and you'd come around every couple of months, you'd get another chance.
Yeah.
And it was usually on a Saturday morning when most people would not want to be standing on the door of their house when the toast is burning and the cup of tea is getting cold, and the kids are watching He-Man and going live, I remember it very vividly. I did really, 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 really didn't like knocking doors, but we had to go. It was what everybody did. It's a very strict religion, and you cannot sit on the fence. You're either in it and stick to the rules, or you're out.
I was in tears reading about that book, the Bible book, picture book that you had.
My book of Bible stories.
My book of Bible stories. When you're a little boy, looking at these pictures of people getting burnt to death.
Yeah.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
Called the detestables if you were gay.
Yeah.
And for a little boy who's, confused, being, doesn't know, what he's feeling at the moment. It's almost like a Disney story, where there's like parts in it for adults that the kids aren't supposed to understand.
Yeah.
But, being conditioned, how do you undo those years of conditioning and trauma to see them? Like, because, although like you could go, this isn't true. Is there still a little voice in the back of your head going, well, what if it is? What if I do, when I die, I get burnt alive?
Do you think, I feel that now?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. No, I don't believe any of it. But imagine being like a 7, 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old.
No, I can't.
Literally, when I realized who the people were dying in the background, and knowing that I was feeling different, and I didn't feel the same as the other kids, the other boys, I just went quiet. And I just kept this secret, these feelings, this confusion, this complexity to myself. And I just didn't tell anyone. That could have gone really badly wrong. I mean, it could have really, really gone wrong. And by the way, there are a lot of damaged human beings because of this religion and how it doesn't allow anybody to talk. Because the danger of me talking about it, well, maybe not early on when I was a kid. I mean, they would have drilled it out of me. I'm sure the religion would have tried their hardest. They wouldn't have succeeded. I'm quite sure about that. But then there's the baptism thing, which obviously, when I was 13, I got baptized hoping that would really cleanse me, fix me. So I was hoping, because the only other option was I was going to die at Armageddon. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to lose my mom and dad. Imagine all this at 13. Like, it's not what a 13-year-old should be worrying about, is death, being killed by God, this God that they love. And but that was my
norm.
That was what I had to process at that age.
Has that had any lasting effect on you today?
Weirdly, no. It's so strange. I mean, honestly, it hasn't. I left at 16.
You left home. You left the religion.
I
age
made a
16.
plan. Yeah, I just made a plan at 12 when I was like, I don't think I can, this is not going to work. I'm
And at
so
this point, have you
unhappy.
told your mum and dad that you're gay?
No, I didn't tell them before I left home. I just left home. I told them I didn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore. I already, by the time I got to 16, I started going to the meetings so much. But the only way I could see out of it was to distance myself from the religion, not from them, and start another life. And at 16, that's what I did. Most of the friends I have from my childhood are from 16 onwards.
Yeah.
The ones before, I've never spoken to again. That's quite tragic, really. And it's not that they don't want to talk to me. It's because their religion tells them that they can't.
So your friends who are still following their Jehovah
yeah.
Witness religion are not allowed to speak to you? Weren't
No.
allowed to speak to you then?
No.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Very sad. But you said when you went to secondary school, that's when the bullying really started to get dark. Like, why was that?
Well, as you know, first of all, you go from little village school to the Valley Comprehensive. So it's not just your village that goes to your little junior school. Now it's the whole valleys all the way up to, everywhere.
Yeah.
The council estates, the rough estate right at the top of the valley, all come into your school. And then you're from 16, all the way up to 16, 17. Yeah. And a lot of those kids, came from terrible backgrounds, I'm sure, broken families. They probably weren't loved. They probably saw violence of their own within their household. I didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
And, I was not a vocal kid. I wasn't somebody that could stand up for myself. I mean, I could now. Yeah. I could deck them all. But, back then I didn't have any power or confidence. And also on top of that, I was a Jehovah's Witness. On top of that, I probably showed elements of a gay kid.
How? In what way?
I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe.
Not playing football.
Well, I didn't play football. My best friends were these two girls, which are Jehovah's Witnesses, Emma and Laurie. And they saw all the bad words that they called me, throughout those years. But they never told their parents, and they never told my parents. It was like, as soon as school finished, you just forgot about what was going on. And I was like, so nobody could help. Nobody really reached out. The teachers didn't do anything. No one.
So who did you have to turn to when you were a little boy?
I didn't turn to anyone. I didn't do anything. I couldn't. There was no one to speak to. So.
But you adore. You say in your book you adore your mum and dad. Like
but the danger of telling my mum and dad would have been that I knew what they did to gay people. And I was worried that I would be thrown out of the house, lose my mum and dad. I didn't, the thought of any of that happening was enough to keep me quiet. That's why I made such a clear plan at 16 to leave home. I thought if I keep distance from the religion, I can create two different lives, which is.
So where did you live? You moved to Cardiff?
Moved to Cardiff, yeah. Moved
16,
into a bed set.
With what money?
I had a job.
River Island?
No, River Island was the first job. Then I moved to another like a finance company.
Okay.
And I was the mail boy. So I'd start at 6 a.m. and I'd stamp all these application forms for sofas. People want a hire purchase for a washing machine or a stereo or whatever it was, a 3-piece suite. That's what I did. Yeah. And there was a girl I worked with, Helen, and I think she's like 4 years older than me. And we just got on really well, and she wanted to move out. So I said, should we find a place? And that's what we did.
Amazing. What advice would you give to kids who are being bullied?
Well, the advice I used to the words I used to say to myself, and I'm very amazed that I found these words in my own head at a very, very young age when I was being bullied every single day, was that this is only temporary. These people will not be in my life. I've just got to get through these few years and I can say goodbye to all of this. And all I've got to do is get through it. And as painful as it was to then constantly be bullied and be shouted at with different terrible words, once I got that in my head and I knew there was a bigger world out there, people I haven't met yet, getting a job, the people I'd meet through my job, having money in my pocket, maybe moving out of home, maybe moving out of the village, I knew that I'd find myself. But I think the biggest words were, this is only now, it's only temporary. And I know these people are not going to have a single impact on my life the second I leave school.
That's such a mature approach for such a young boy.
I still don't.
It's like you were a baby then.
Yeah, I was.
And a lot of people could easily have given up.
And it's very easy to give up. But I guess I just had I knew I wanted to discover life, and I wanted to be happy. And I think, I mean, I remember as well, like, when I was a kid, there was no internet, there was no social media, there was no mobile phones, there was nothing apart from the telly and newspapers. That's all you saw. That's all I knew about life. But I knew that there was more to life than what this existence of firstly being a Jehovah's Witness, living in this little village, and being bullied at school. I just thought, there's way bigger things to do. This is just temporary. And it can really drag some kids down, being bullied every day, and no one should have to put up with it. And I'd like to think that in schools nowadays, if kids are bullied, there are people who are watching, and there's people that can step in, and counselors. There was nothing like that when I was a kid.
Do you know what? Even to this day, I don't think it's completely sorted out.
No, I'm sure.
I think it goes under the radar so much, and it's terrible.
And now they've got social media. You can be bullied.
There's a whole.
I mean, my goddaughter, she suffers terribly with it, and I just.
It's petrifying.
So sad. You can't take the phone away from her. She wants the phone, but it's real bullying. But I tell her the same thing. I said, these girls won't mean anything to you in about 3 years' time. It's only 3 years. Just head down, take what you can from school, do the best, ignore these people. They will mean nothing to you. Zero, less than zero.
I say this
they
to my
are
daughters.
Nobodies. They will be nobodies in your life.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, harder to put into practice, but it can be done because I did it. So.
I really love the story about Max, your friend who you worked in River Island with, and you said it was the first time you could truly be yourself.
So he clearly knew. He knew the second I ran up the stairs for the first time to get a pair of shoes, a pair of kickers for one of the customers. Kickers. I guess he was so nice. He was very quiet, but he was lovely. And I remember him saying one night, he said, "Do you want to come out for a drink with me and my friends after work?" I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I mean, I was 16. I shouldn't be drinking. But anyway, I looked about 19 at the time. I was always looked older than I was. And he used to go out, and he introduced me to a whole group of people, gay, straight, just wonderful, brilliant people all around. Well, they were all older than me because I was so young, but I just fitted into that group. And that was sort of how I started to make my friends.
So 17, you leave Cardiff. You get a scholarship to the theatre school in London. But before this, you're using your wages to pay for these singing lessons. And then you go for your scholarship. So talk me about, did London, hit your expectations? Or was it huge?
Deliver?
Did it deliver? Or was it like a huge culture shock coming from the valleys going into...
No. I tell you, it's so funny. Even as a kid, I used to walk up to the top of my street and I'd be like, this is not going to work for me.
This is not my life.
It's not going to work. Also, when I was a kid, we used to go to London to see shows. So I knew what Central London, at least I'd see Central London. And the big buildings and all those different people and a punk rocker and then an old lady and then maybe a famous person and then gay people and all this stuff going on. And I just thought, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. So when I finally got to come to London and not just be a visitor for a couple of days, but actually they would call it my home. I just loved every second of it. I loved it. Yeah.
So you're incredibly honest and open about navigating your life as a young gay man in your book. Historically, you've been quite private about your private life. Why now?
It's a weird one because when I really decided that, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to tell my story, there was no point beating around the bush or rose-tinted glasses or cotton-wooling parts of the story. I thought, well, this is my story. And it was a weird thing to put it down and realize that at some point, what I've just written is going to be read by thousands, if not
millions.
millions of people, talked about, and it was, there were days when I'd write for 3 hours, 4 hours, and then I would literally have to go for a walk on my own because I'd put myself back in the head space and the heart space of that
little boy,
12-year-old, that 15-year-old, whatever, that 16-year-old leaving home. And it just tore me to pieces. Like I remember what it felt like. So it was really traumatic at times. And then other times I'd remember like this tiny detail about something. And I'd be like, how on earth has that stayed in my head all this time? And then there was joyous moments that just like, I'd sit there going, how the hell did I get out of that? The yacht story.
Love that.
What the hell was I doing on that boat? Like, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that may read the book, but like, there are moments in your life you just go, Jesus Christ, how on earth did I get out of that one?
Well, I went from sobbing to being like, oh my God, I'm so jealous. He had a pregnant cat that gave birth under his bed.
Oh, my cat.
Because I'm a cat lover. I just rescued a kitten I found a stray in Portugal and brought him home.
How did you get it back?
I had to bloody drive it to Lisbon.
You are.
Fly it to the UK. This little stray, it's like that.
Oh
but
God.
He just clocked eyes on me. And then, he had to come home. Tell me about this yacht story. I loved it. But for people, people listening.
I'll just do the top line tier of the information because the chapter itself is quite nuts. But we got invited, me and my mates got invited on this yacht by a friend of a friend who was this older guy who basically said, I've got this yacht, you should all come on this yacht. And so we went to Ibiza. I went to Ibiza for the first time. We were on this yacht. We went by private jet. I remember calling my mum going, he's flying us private jet. We're going to stay on this yacht. I said, it just sounds too good to be true. My mother just went, proper Debbie Downer. She went, well, Luke, when things sound too good to be true, most often they are too good to be true. I was like, yeah, no, whatever. Anyway, it totally transpired to be absolutely true. He was a nightmare. We had to escape from the boat. He was on some kind of drug that nobody knew what it was, and he just went crazy. And that we all had to escape from his yacht in the middle of the night. From his lair. Literally in the middle of the night. And we ended up sitting at Cafe Del Mar on the beach just going, what are we going to do? My luggage is on that boat. I got to get... And we ended up sleep. We ended up renting the shittiest apartment in San Antonio. This was like 20 years ago. And there was one bed and there was 16 of us. So we went and bought Lilos and we all slept on Lilos. I mean, it looked horrendous. And I didn't go back to Ibiza for 10 years. I now have a house on the island.
I love Ibiza.
Me
It's
too.
one of my favorite. I got engaged in Ibiza.
Did you? How lovely.
Yeah. I think it's so brave of you because there's so much advice in this book. You've got to talk, you've got to get out and do it, you've got to escape, you've got to be confident in your own skin. And I think there'll be loads of people, not just young gay lads, people who just find this as a huge inspiration and go,
Yeah. And it's not like this is the journey, this is how to do it. This is how you get through it, right? This is one way to get through hardships. And it's not like follow my journey and you'll become this. It's just like whatever you're going through, if something in my journey resonates with wherever you may be right now, or maybe you've been through something and you're not feeling great about yourself. I've been through crap. I've been through shit times as well. And I wasn't always going, yes, I'm going to be great and everything's going to be good. No, there were moments I just wanted to give it all up.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And, it's about surviving, We're all survivors. Like we are surviving this life, And some days are great. Some years are fantastic. Some are just awful.
Yeah.
But that's sort of like, it's what colors our journey, and people have asked me I've been doing interviews and they're like, what if you regret anything from your past, what would it be? And I'm like, absolutely nothing. I don't regret a single part of it. Even the bad mistakes or the idiotic things I've done or whatever. I don't regret any of it. Regret, I just don't see.
No, it's you learn.
Like life regrets. Like,
No.
listen, if you've killed somebody, then I get it. You probably regret that. But everything else is like, take a minute to reflect on what you did wrong or what you could have done better.
It's a lesson.
And then look to the future and go, right, this is how I don't do it again.
Yeah.
That's the only use of regret, is to look at it, reflect on it, sort it out, and then look forward. Hanging on to regret,
Pointless.
it's a non-starter.
Yeah. How does it feel to be seen as a role model? You know, this book is hopefully going to instigate change. You know, anyone struggling with their identity and
well,
you're their role
it's nice to be a role model. I mean, I think we're all role models in our own way. I mean, you're a role model. People look up to people, or we have a profile, right? And people will see us more than they'll see other people.
Yeah.
And with that comes a responsibility, I believe. And I feel that my responsibility, that the message that I can send out authentically is I'm living my life the way I want to live it. I am proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I've achieved in my career. I can do many things if I put my mind to it. I've broken boundaries. I've played the straight roles, being a gay man. I've played the most macho action hero roles. The fans accept it. They don't mind at all. I have sent a message out that being yourself is okay.
Yeah.
It's not common to see my story in my industry. In fact, when I started, there was no other openly gay action hero actors. Yeah. I was the only one. And it's still very, very little.
Oh, very little?
So as a role model, you know, you have to send out a good message. People are watching me. I understand that. People are following my story. People are digging deep into Google and working out who I am and then seeing my work. And because of that, not that it keeps me up at night, but it gives me a sense of like, I need to send out a good message. Yeah. You know, I've never been a flag waving human being. I don't need to, you know, be on the front float of the San Francisco Gay Parade, even though if they asked me, I probably would do it. But that doesn't mean I'm not proud and I don't have a voice and my message isn't strong and it gets out there. Yeah. I'm just doing it my way.
Well, the speech you did for the attitude was just incredible. Incredible. And I think, you know, that was so inspirational for so many people, so many young people.
I hope so.
No, it was magnificent. I urge anyone listening to go and check that out because it was just fabulous. I just wanted to say, you know, you're very brave. Like if you think about what you've been through.
I guess so, yeah. It's funny, isn't it? When you're going through something, you just get through it. You either get through it or you just break down and collapse and go, I need help. And that's also fine. Yeah. And I definitely did find help. And well, I found friends. I think that's what helped me get through the darkest of moments. Leaving home, as sad as it was to leave my mum and dad in School Street, Aberbargoed, for me, it was literally like when the wings started to poke through the back of my shirt.
Oh, that's lovely.
It was just, there was a couple of feathers. And they sprouted into wings. And it was because I was free. And I was able to just stand as who I wanted to be and find people that would accept me, who didn't think of me as anyone else just other than who Luke. I was. Such a simple, easy ask, you know, but I just hadn't had that until I left home. But it's I think we're all brave in different ways. And I'm just, you know, I'm very proud of what my younger self did when it looked quite dark. You know, he somehow got through it.
Let's talk about your acting career. You've been in so many movies. Incredible. You played so many different roles. Like, you know, talk me through it. Like you've started in the college.
Yeah.
You're on the theatre. You did 8 years and you didn't get your first film role till the age of 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, no offense, seems quite... That's like, is that quite older to be starting out?
It's really old.
Because most people would be like, if I haven't made it by the time I'm 18, I'm quitting.
Exactly. Yeah. It's getting even younger. No, it was because it was a late start to me because it wasn't part of my... I mean, I was doing musical theatre and I thought that would be it. And that wasn't going that great either, by the way. By the time I was 26, I was already thinking, well, if this doesn't change, if I can't actually save some money and look further than like next week or next month when it comes to money...
Was the pay no good on that?
Not really. I mean, it's fine, but also it's fine when you're working.
Yeah.
But like every show comes to an end. Not everybody's in like the Jersey Boys that goes on for 20 years or Les Mis. And you have to audition every year to go back into it. It's a ruthless business. So a lot of my actor friends, they'll do a play and it's a fringe play or it's in a small theater. They're being paid peanuts and they got to survive.
Yeah.
I've got actor friends that have second jobs, third jobs just to survive.
Yeah.
And that is hard. That's why this theatre life is a vocation. Like, you got to love it.
Love it.
You got to really love it because there's a lot of hardship. There's a lot of sacrifice.
And a lot of rejection.
Hell of a lot. There's no guarantee when you finish a job, you're going to get another one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I went from one to the next to the next. I mean, I did some great jobs, but I did everything between that. I worked in a restaurant. I was a PA to a restaurateur. I worked in a PR firm. I was on the door of a gay club in the West End till 3 a.m. in the morning. I was the VIP host.
What, not
Shadowlands.
a bouncer or a...
No, I was the VIP host. I had a clipboard, love.
I'm thinking,
and a rope.
you're not getting it.
It was... I even worked in Manchester on Canal Street on the door of a club there. I did everything. I did everything I could just to get by. But that wasn't the life I wanted. I was like, I can't keep doing this.
So when did the big break come?
So the big break came when I was in a musical called Rent, remixed, and I was playing Roger, and an agent came to see me in that show. And when I wrote the card to the casting director because of his advice that there was this play about two Welsh boys, I then did this play, and then the agents came, signed me. I then did I did a musical at the Donmar, which they asked me to do, which was Piaf. And while I was in that, I got a second job in the day working in a restaurant, and I saved £3,000. And when that play finished, that musical finished, I took a flight to LA, and then I stayed in LA and did the rounds. Just before I left for LA, I did my first screen test audition in London and in Soho for this film called Clash of the Titans. And then I left on a plane. Didn't think I'd ever get it. Everybody was up for this role of Apollo. It was like the young, god. And got to LA. A month went by. I was doing all the rounds, By the way, I passed my driving test when I was 28, so didn't have a car. 28? Didn't need a car. I lived in central London. I was always on the tubes, Certainly couldn't have afforded one. Anyway, then I get to LA, not been in a car in America in my life, rented one at the airport, and then I'm on the right-hand side of the road for the first time in my life in a rental car.
Oh my God.
Honestly, Abby, I don't know how the hell I got from LAX to West Hollywood, but I did it. And then I just did the rounds. Every day I would go meet people, meet all the different casting directors, studios, directors and casting directors.
How did you know what to do? Like, for anyone who's an inspiring actor?
Well, I just had to rely on my agents. I was like, so how does this work? They said, well, every day we're going to send you an email with the addresses, the timings. You need to check on Google Maps how long it takes. Have a big breakfast because you're probably not going to get lunch. You're going to finish at like 6 p.m. every night, and you're going to be crisscrossing, traversing Los Angeles to different studios, production houses, casting directors. And in between that, you'll need to learn lines because we'll be putting you up for auditions for things that are happening. So all that was going on. And then literally maybe like 3 or 4 weeks into all this chaos, but it was great. It was exciting, I got a phone call from my agent in London going, you've just been offered the role in Clash of the Titans. And I was like, what? They were like, yeah. I was like, amazing. They said, you need to come home right now. You're the last person to be cast, and you need to have fittings and costume and hair and a body cast because they're building you armor. I'm like, but I saved all that money to be here for like 3 months for auditions. He's like, you've got a job, you need to come back. So got my flight home. I landed, went to another audition that they had for me just by chance.
Yeah.
Auditioned for that. The next morning, I had another audition for a Jason Statham movie. And that afternoon, I got both. So in the space of like 4 days, I landed 3 movies.
So how does that work?
I don't know. It was nuts. By the end of that week, I got 5. In that first week from landing back in London, I got Clash of the Titans, Robin Hood, Blitz, Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, and Tamara Drew. And I did all of them in the first year.
And also many different...
So random. Like one was a god, Greek god. The other one was the sheriff of Nottingham's henchman. The other one was the wife of... Olivia Wilde in Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll about Ian Dury.
Yeah.
And then the other one was like a CID officer. And the last one was a handyman in Dorset. Making hazel fences with Gemma Arterton as my love interest. I mean, literally, like, talk about baptism of fire, like being dropped at the deep end, not having a clue about film acting, you know. I just picked it up as I went along.
So is it different then?
Oh my God, it's so different. I mean, firstly, like, you know, when you've got a stage, even the way I'm looking at you right now, it would be like this because the audience has to see you. So you're always on an angle. You always act like this, right? Well, on film, you don't do any of that. It's like real life, which actually was extremely refreshing. But also, I had to trust that if I talked like this, this was going to be fine. You know, because on film, sometimes there's an actor away from you. You can't even hear what they're saying. You know, you got to trust that they finish their line before you come in with yours because everything's all, you know, condensed and quiet. Of course, there's loud songs and scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. And those first 5 years, 6 years, I literally would bookend into another. I'd segue from one to the next to the next. I'd go from like Newcastle to Canada. I remember it went from Newcastle to Canada to Munich to Berlin over a year. I didn't go home. Literally didn't go home. No wonder that relationship I had at the time didn't work, poor bugger. He was on his own the whole time.
What were your family like when you said, Mum, I've got these roles?
I mean, it didn't really comprehend.
Yeah.
They couldn't contextualize it, right? I just was going away to do a job. It was only when the movies came out and then the premiere and then it was on TV and the cinema.
Overnight fame?
Yeah. And then my dad every week would literally go to the cinema. When Dracula was on and The Hobbit, he'd literally go to the cinema every other night and he'd find a seat that was between lots of other people and he'd just sit there and listen to them talking. He'd listen to them, see what they were saying, whether they mention me. And then he'd go, did you like the guy playing Dracula? Oh yeah, he's fantastic. It's my son, that is.
Are they a real support system for you?
Yeah. Yeah, they're both wonderful. My dad he's so proud. They're both really, really proud, but my dad loves the industry. It's so different, you know. Like he comes to set and he's like, why is there so many people?
Yeah.
There's only you on the camera. And I always say, like, just wait till the cameras stop rolling and then watch everybody move and they all have a job. Yeah. And as soon as the cameras roll, everybody stops. He's fascinated by it. So that's been lovely to share those moments with them.
And what about sex scenes? Because I had my little kind of, well, it wasn't really a sex scene. It was more like, I don't know what it was.
What was it?
I recently did an ad for Agent Frocateur where I basically had to walk down the street in London, you know, suspenders, stockings. Then I had to basically tie Pete to a snooker table and dry hump him and then hit him in the balls with a snooker ball.
No. Where can I see this? I need to see it right now. It sounds brilliant.
It was amazing, but it was the most...
Well, at least you were having like
so
a sex scene with your husband.
Well, it kind of was.
Makes it easier.
But it was like, turn around, put your bum in his face, lick his ear. There was 50 people in the room. It was the most unsexy...
Oh, yeah. There's nothing...
mortifying thing. And I was just like... Because Peter... I'm quite a shy person, believe it or not. Like very self-conscious and shy. Peter could stand up in front of a room of 100 people, thousands of people and do something. And he was like to me, just get your head down, get it done. Yeah. You know, don't think. And I took his advice and it was just an easier process. But I was like, I can't believe how sexy it looked compared to how it felt.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's never sexy. There's like a sweaty 50-year-old camera operator right next to you. You've got somebody with a boom over you, like with a mic, and you got a director trying to like orchestrate the whole thing. It's like, it is not sexy at all.
Hot.
So when you see those sex scenes, you're like, wow, that really, you know, I did a sex scene in Girl on the Train with this.
Didn't you get drunk?
We got pissed, yeah.
How was that? Better?
It was hilarious. We had this shower scene, and we just got drunk. We just got drunk on whiskey, I think, and then just was singing like Lion King songs to each other.
Hilarious. Movie shower sex scenes are always really hot, but I just don't think it's like that in real life.
No, I don't think it is either.
No.
The glass panel falls out
exactly.
or the shower runs out of hot water.
Slip. Break your neck. Sorry, my brother's listening to this. How do you feel about, like, with these characters, you're leaving a legacy, like Gaston? You know, that is, like, ingrained in our culture, isn't it, that movie? And you're going to, you know, you're leaving legacies with these roles.
What an honour. I love it. It's a real honour. to be picked to do those roles. And there's been a few now. You know, I've got probably like 4 or 5 that are internationally recognized, and they are part of a much bigger legacy. And those characters are my face, and I will carry those characters with me and be recognized as those characters around the world, as they do everywhere I go. Yeah, all the time. Owen Shaw, Gaston, Barbara Bowman, Dracula, you know. It's so bizarre and a very unusual thing. And sometimes I forget. Maybe I've like had a quiet sort of private couple of weeks and haven't been anywhere, and all of a sudden I'll go to a supermarket or catch a flight or whatever, or get in an Uber. I mean, I had it the other day, and this guy literally couldn't. He couldn't. When he realized who I was, you could see his hands trembling in the front. I had to put my hand on his shoulder, and it's like, dude, it's all good. Don't worry.
That's lovely.
Don't worry.
Have you seen that video of George Michael trying to
brilliant.
get into his own concert? And the guy's like, I know what George Michael looks like, and you are not George Michael.
Yeah, it's so
he's
good.
Laughing his head off. I love that.
It's so good. I'd love to have known George Michael.
Oh, me too.
I feel like I'd have got on with him really well.
Oh, you would?
He just...
You
like
should
whenever
play
you see
George
him,
Michael in a movie.
Yeah,
A movie of his
I'd
life.
love to. I love singing his songs.
Yeah, me
Sing
too.
his songs all the time.
So do I. I love George. What has been your most challenging role?
Honestly, like, if you really throw yourself into everything you do when it comes to acting, every job, every role, as long as they're not exactly the same kind of role, have their own set of unique challenges. Yeah. Right? So playing a dad, playing a vampire, you know, playing a father of 3, protecting them from a dragon the size of a multi-story car park, you know, being a Delta Force special operative soldier trying to find his sister in the jungle. Just those group of characters. Imagine each one has a very different story to tell, different backstory, different physicality, different accents, different everything, right? And each one has its own set of unique, very, very specific challenges. Maybe there's something physical I have to do for one of those roles. Maybe there's an accent that's really unusual. Maybe it's a prosthetic. I've just done something with a prosthetic. Bloody hell. Like every day.
Hard.
For 3 months. 2.5 hours in the chair before anybody else arrived. I was in a chair having this thing stuck to my face. And it was full on. Looks incredible, brilliant, but my God, such a commitment.
I want to know how you lost the 17 pound in 10 weeks, because I can't lose 1 pound.
Well, I mean, it wasn't pleasant. I'll tell you that for nothing. I mean, it was brutal. And I did the job I did before I went and did Immortals, which is this, you know, huge weight loss muscle thing. I was, you know, the craft services and the catering was like pasties and custard tarts, and you know, which was fantastic. And I was working with some good friends, and we were at the Greyhound tracks. There was we drank beer all night, you know, and then there was curries on Saturdays. Anyway, so it went from that to literally boot camp with like 15 stuntmen and Henry Cavill looking like an Adonis. And I was playing catch up. I mean, I tried to get out of it several times early on. I called my manager, I called everyone. I was like, guys, I have to leave. This is not going to work. I am not going to take my clothes off on camera next to that.
Your
next to
body
Cavill
is
looking
insane.
like that. It's all right. It has its moments.
I've seen your Insta. I've liked a few of your pics, and I've been on holiday with your BDXY undies on. Yeah, I've liked a few of them.
Yes, but, I realized after I designed the clothes that it was swimwear and that I'd have to be wearing it on every now and again on social media, but that's all right. You know, that was full on. And that, again, challenge. The challenge of
discipline.
Yeah.
You know,
probably the biggest challenge on that, though, was they took me to to get waxed.
Oh.
They took all the boys to get waxed because they wanted us to be Greek gods with no hair.
Yeah.
She did like this part of my chest, and I literally almost went into anaphylactic shock. I was literally traumatized, and I said, "You can't do it. I can't. No, stop. Just stop."
Yeah.
So I went home with this like runway strip of bald skin here, and then I promised them that I would clip her every day, even twice a day if that's what they wanted. But you ain't waxing me ever again.
No, it's the worst.
What the hell? It's like I don't know who designed that.
No,
like some weird person, because it is monstrously
painful. You can get laser.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't offer us
but then it wouldn't come back, so you might.
I don't mind that. Well, no, I'm happy with my hairy chest.
Yeah. What advice would you give to any aspiring actors trying to get the foot in the door?
Well, firstly, be ready for rejection.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be miserable here. I'm not going to be like the Duchess of Doom, but these are the things you've got to be impenetrable from. And it is not getting a job, not getting the response you want, messing up an audition, and rejection.
Mm-hmm.
They are things that every actor, from the biggest actors to the smallest, deal with. It'll break you if you're not strong mentally. You have to know it's part of the course. Some actors break into the biggest jobs in their early 20s and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And then there's other actors who don't succeed until they're much, much older. What did they do before they got all these giant shows, films? What were they doing? They were working. They were just doing something other than these big movies. When you act, you can do so many different things.
Yeah.
There's theater, there's fringe theater, there's adverts, there's theater in education. There's a million ways to keep your business going.
Yeah.
But some of them won't pay, some of them will.
Yeah.
And most people in our industry, a young acting, they'll fall to the wayside because it's too much.
Too hard.
The ones that succeed are the ones that somehow find a way through and keep going.
Yeah.
But you've got to be impenetrable. You are essentially a one-man band. You're also your own therapist. You're your own ass kicker. Nobody else will do it apart from you.
Yeah.
And that self-belief is extremely hard to maintain, especially when things aren't going your way. And things didn't go my way. And there was moments when I almost gave it up. But I would say be impenetrable to the negative things and any opportunity to perform. Somebody told me that to be a professional in anything you do, you need to spend 10,000 hours doing it.
Yeah.
10,000 hours. So wherever you can spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 months doing the thing that you want to do for a living for the rest of your life, do it. Because every experience will benefit your journey into becoming the actor that you want to be.
How does it feel when you know you've been rejected from a role and you see another actor playing it? Are you sitting there like...
It's all right. I mean, I just go to the pub. I mean, it's course. I mean, I've had moments when I've said no to a thing and then I've seen it come out and somebody else I know is in it. And there's one of these very things. He got the job I said no to, and he won a Golden Globe. I was a little bit annoyed that day, but again, regret. It's like, all right, that was a mistake, and then like moving on. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't change the past.
Yeah.
You can fix the future, but you cannot change the past. It's like that was a mistake, and it's life, and you learn from your mistakes. And I should have done that job.
So when you're on set with these actors, what's it like turning up for the first day and seeing your co-stars? And is there anyone who has taught you a lot?
Well, you turn up on set and it's always nerve-wracking because you don't know what they're like, right? And if they're famous people, you know that you only see what you see on interviews or in a film, So that's always nerve-wracking. You're hoping they're going to be nice, and I present the best of me. And I've worked mostly with amazing people. Yeah. I mean, there's the odd one that's a little bit weird or odd, and we're actors are an interesting bunch. We're very complicated people. There's a lot. I'm not, but there's a lot that are. And you're gonna have to take the rough with the smooth, and you just sort of like blend into this weird little family for the time you're away from home. I've just done this job for 3 months in Portland. Charlie Hunnam, Emilia Clarke.
Oh yeah.
And I'd never met Emilia before, and we have a really strong storyline in this thing. We were together for almost 3 months, and we were literally inseparable. Yeah. We hung out, we'd have card nights and games nights, and we literally set the world to rights so many nights, because we spent many hours just sitting chatting while they were setting up scenes. And I got to know Emilia extremely well, and we literally couldn't believe we'd never met before. And so the gift of that job, as much as it was a brilliant job on screen, was that I gained a
new friend
with someone who really, I understood our journeys. I mean, they're very different journeys, but we had so many parallels that we could relate to each other about. It was wonderful. And that doesn't happen on every job, by the way. I mean, you get on with everybody, but when you say goodbye, you know,
That's
off
it,
you
job
go. And
done.
yeah, and that's just the way it is. And that's why it's very hard to really maintain strong relationships in our business, because you're pulled away to different corners of the world and different jobs. And then you drop back together a year later to do the press junket, and that's only like a week, and then you're pulled away again. It's so hard to maintain strong friendships. But I've met lovely people, and it's like, you know, you see them, and some people I know, I can just, Dominic Cooper, you know, Dominic Cooper, right? So I love Dom. I haven't seen him in years, but I'm quite sure that if he walked in this door now,
It'd be just
we'd
like
be
you never-
like, should we go for a pint?
Yeah.
And we'd sit there and chat for hours and catch up. It's the knack of an actor. But we have to learn how to be like that, because we know that we have very, very transient lives, but you just pick up where you left off. And obviously I have a really core group of friends that are not actors, and I am around them as much as I can when I'm not on a film set.
But your first love is music.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
singing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your albums and the incredible duets you've had
Yeah.
with, you know, Leanne Rimes,
Nicole Scherzinger.
Nicole Kidman,
Beverly
I was going to
Knight.
say. Beverly Knight sang in my wedding.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, she's fabulous.
Fabulous. What a voice.
What a voice. And what a woman too. Huh?
Yeah.
She's just
Gorgeous.
She gives so much positivity when she walks into a room.
Yeah.
And she's a worker.
Yeah.
When she performs, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And there's nothing she can't do. I absolutely love Beverly Knight.
So do I. And you've also had Nicole Kidman. How did that come across? Are you just calling them up being like,
Hey,
Nicole-
Nick.
Yeah. Nick, will you do my new album?
Do you want to sing on my album, love? Well, it's because I met her on Nine Perfect Strangers, and I got on really well with her. And
love
she got on
that.
with everybody.
I love that.
Yeah, and I had a number in my phone. I don't know how on earth she gave me a number. But I'm very glad she did, because when the second album was proposed to me, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to, but I'd love to do some duets. They were like, well, if you know anyone. And I was like, do you think I should? I remember saying to Fran, do you think I should? Should I text Nicole Kidman and ask her? He was like, and Fran would be like, yeah, do it. Why? What else? What have we got to lose? A bit like the card to the casting director. I thought, what have I got to lose? And she texted back. She went, can I call you? I was like, oh, she's going to say she can't do it. And she's like, hi, babe, because she's got an Australian accent, lovely Australian accent. I was like, hi, Nick. And she said, well, I got your text message. I'd be honored to sing. I was like, I was like, yes. Like, she said
unreal.
yes. I couldn't believe it.
It's so funny you saying it like that, though, because for me, I'm like literally sitting in front of a Hollywood superstar. And you're saying like you were excited for Nicole. It's like, of course you would do it. And you're an incredible singer.
Oh, I love singing.
I
just
do. And I
it.
love all the romantic ballads.
Yeah.
That's right up my street.
Yeah.
We need to
I
sing
just
together.
need to sing some more. I would love to do like another one, but I think what I really want to do is live shows.
Yeah.
I think I want to tour. I want to try and fit in at least some dates. Because I was supposed to do this tour after my first album, and then COVID happened, and I had the Palladium, and it was somewhere in Birmingham and in Wales, and it was going to be epic. And then the whole thing just fell apart because of COVID, which is such a pain. So I think I'm going to do it at some point. It's a lot of work to put, and you have to really look after your voice.
Yeah.
When you're singing like 12, 16 songs a night, you basically can't do anything else with your life.
You can't talk.
Can't talk. You can't be in loud company. You don't do anything. You literally just live for the tour. So, yeah.
I love that part in your book where you were talking about your nanny, your nan,
Enid.
your nana Enid. And at this point she was unresponsive, ill, and you sang down the phone and she opened her eyes.
Yeah.
Like the power of music.
Yeah.
And that, what an incredible...
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful thing that's, I mean, tragic, of course, and sad. But for me, it was my final connection to my grandmother. And I was on the other side of the planet when I did that. My mom was sitting next to her and she said, we think she's going to pass tonight. She's been unresponsive for the whole day. She hasn't woken up. Her breathing is very, very shallow. And I said, well, I'm going to call you. We did, because there's obviously like 12 hours difference or something, 10 hours, 12 hours. I said, I'll call you at this time. It was 2 a.m. in Australia, and it was summer and it was winter there. And they were all still in sort of semi-lockdown. So they're all in their bubbles, and my mum was there. So we were on FaceTime because she just wanted me to see my nan for the first time. And she was lying peacefully in bed. And I said, put the phone next to her. I'm going to sing her a song. I didn't plan to do it. I just thought through my life and with my nan, my singing, my performance, she always loved
Love
it.
them.
She loved it. She loved Elvis, but every time I sang, she loved it. And I was very close to my nan. I wasn't around her physically, but I always kept contact. I used to send her postcards. She's like 320 postcards. I sent her from the age of 16 to 38 when she died. And I sang her a song. I sang her a song on FaceTime, and she opened her eyes. And everybody in the room was like, oh my God, she's awake, she's awake. And I kept singing. I sang, "You Are So Beautiful to
That's
Me."
I walked down the aisle to that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful song.
Gorgeous.
I sang the whole song, and she woke up. So her breathing came back. She was aware that I was singing the song. Finished the song. I said, "Love you, Nan." And I said, "I'm going to go now." And that night she died. It was a lovely thing. I'd like to think in my romantic, idealistic way that she knew it was me. And something in that terrible disease that damages the memory in such a terrible way and ruins everything. Horrible disease, dementia and Alzheimer's. That a tiny, tiny little memory was left that triggered her to come back for a second and have a memory of something that she knew. So, yeah. But I'm glad I had that moment. And like you said, music, it's an extraordinary thing. Songs take you back to a memory, you know.
It's a universal language, isn't it? Like,
and it really
love,
hits you like so deep.
Happiness, sadness, can make you angry.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a powerful thing.
What's your favorite song?
Oh, I love loads of songs. I love every song.
Do you? You're like me. I couldn't pick. Well, I could probably pick one because I've been asked it so many times.
What's yours?
It's First Time Ever I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack.
Luke, you've had the most incredible career. You know, from that little 16-year-old boy leaving his home city, coming to London. You've been in hundreds of films. You've had 2 albums out, duets with megastars. You are a megastar yourself. You're a Hollywood actor. What has been one of the standout, proudest moments?
The highest point, I mean, I don't know. There's been so many pinch me moments. Sometimes they're the people I'm around or the set that I'm on or a story I've been told or a mountain that I'm standing on or a dinner I've had or the company. There's so many because I try and just appreciate the big moments that are really obviously, you know, very cool, but also like some of the high moments can be like the smallest, simplest detail of something, you know, waking up next to the person you love. Like sometimes that's just the happiest moment I get is I open my eyes and I'm like, I'm loved. Oh, what a lovely feeling.
It's important, isn't it?
God, it's simple, but like just to feel loved and to share your life with somebody that you really love. It's just the best experience. Like,
and not everyone gets that.
No.
Just heartbreaking.
And it took me a while to find that, you know, and now I have it. It's like, it's just brilliant. I get to share all these experiences with somebody that I love the bones of.
And you've got your brand together?
We've got our brand together, which is an extraordinary
How's that going?
thing. It's going great. Yeah, we are building a brand from absolute zero. So it's been a lot of work. And we're loving it. We've just launched our second collection, autumn winter collection, which is now for boys and girls and everyone in between. And we're building a really solid foundation for a quality brand. And we are trying to be as sustainable as we can. And be thoughtful about what we're making and make sure that it's the best quality product. And I love it. I wear it all the time, and I love the underwear. The underwear is amazing. It's really soft and really nicely made and fits great. And Yeah.
How is
no,
it working with your partner? Because I work with mine.
You get on really well, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Apart
I mean,
from
we had
this
the odd-
morning, I told you we're getting divorced this morning.
Right.
We
Fair
had a
enough.
huge row, but we'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
I'll be fine by 4 p.m.
Yeah, there we go. Give it a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we have our disagreements as well. But when you argue with someone who's like your best friend and you love, you know, you can have really serious shit, but you know it's not going to be anything more than just your disagreement, and
Yeah,
you'll
of
get through
course.
it. Because
Yeah.
I'm very appreciative of having a business with Fran, because he is such a hard worker.
Yeah.
Like, he does like 5 people's jobs. Like, you know, he's doing the jobs of 5 people.
Because he's come from a creative background.
Yeah,
isn't he?
architect, project manager. You know, he loves a spreadsheet. I can't think of anything worse. But now I can actually open a spreadsheet.
Can you build? Can you make one?
Hell no.
No, I can't.
I have no idea how he does it, but I can read one now. Because
Okay.
when we first started this, I was like,
What's that?
my eyes started to shake. You know, I was like,
We were trying to do Secret Santa for the kids the other day, and my friend was like, "Are we getting all the kids together, or are we just going to put it into the computer and do a computer-generated one?" I'm like, "How the hell
that
do you
sounds
do?"
fun.
No, but I'm like, "How do you even know how to do that?"
Yeah.
But you know, I'm not from that computer
No,
generation.
neither am I. I mean, I've got a laptop. I never open it.
I've never the same.
It just sits there looking nice.
Yeah,
I should put it on eBay.
you should.
It's brand new.
I'm exactly the same. So that's exciting with the brand.
Yes, great.
New collection. So that's available now.
Yeah, it's available online, and probably within the next year we will be in stores around the world. We ship to 50 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah,
You're
beautiful
literally
candles we do, amazing bags, gorgeous headgear. And
You did say you were going to send me some, but you didn't.
did I not send you
No,
anything?
you didn't.
God, I'm a monster.
I know you
I'm going
are.
to give you one today.
Thank you.
I have one in the car.
Thank you.
You're going to
so
get it today.
Thanks. Did everyone hear that?
Then
Luke Evans said I'm going to get it.
But also, I want this on record. She's going to post a picture about it.
I will, 100%, a million percent.
Yeah, and tell us how nice it smells.
So have you got any time left in the day? Because I want to know what's next for Luke Evans.
I'm having a break. I'm going on holidays. Well, I'm going to Lisbon because we have a house there. And yeah, I started this year. So we're now at the end of November. This time last year, I was doing a play called Backstairs Billy, and I was in it every night for 3 months. I finished that. I went straight into a movie for 3 months in Northern Ireland. Then I had a break for like 2 months, launched the brand. So it wasn't a break.
Yeah, of
That
course.
was nuts.
Yeah.
And then went into this job in Portland, Oregon. And then I finished that. And 2 days after I got back to London, I was on this press tour. So I really have filled my year full of amazing things. But I'm ready now just to
Chill.
take a step back and chill and just have some me time, our time, quiet time, family time.
You know, looking back, you're a 45-year-old man now. Think back to that boy at 16. Do you ever look back at the bravery of what you've achieved and become what you wanted to be and give yourself that well-deserved pat on the back?
You have to go take stock of wow, you've
What a
done all
journey.
that in 45 years, you know.
Well, less
like-
than that if you start 16.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. Less. And I try to take stock because actually, you know, when you're really, really busy, before you know it, the year's gone by and you're like, you've forgotten half the things that you've accomplished. And it is really good, healthy also to take a breath and to remove yourself from the chaos and just look back and go, wow, you got through that. Well done. Still standing. That was incredible. Otherwise, you don't enjoy the process, the journey. You've got to enjoy the journey. And what I love to do is I like to look at my calendar on my iPhone, which is basically it dictates my life.
I hate that.
I can't live without
I
it.
need to show you
Everything's on
mine.
there.
You'll
It's
die.
full like this. And when I go away, it goes from like 30 things in a day to literally like take your vitamin C, lunch at
Gorgeous.
somewhere and dinner at somewhere else. And it's like my day goes from like this long to like tiny little.
I love that.
And that's like, oh, that's nice. But, you know, give me a couple of months of that and I'm ready to go back to work. Yeah.
Well, Luke, it's been amazing. And thank you. You were
It's like chatting to an old friend. I love it.
You were number one on my list when I first started this. So
Aw.
we finally made it happen. And, you know, the book is fantastic.
Thank
and
you.
I genuinely mean that. And, you know, it's full of highs and lows and it's really, really inspirational, genuinely. So
Thanks,
thank
Abby.
you. And tell me something, boy. Where can we do our duet?
Tired of the, what is it?
Luke Evans!
Love you. Thank you.